Okay, this next symbol, EDC, everyday carry, right? This is the Direxion Emerging Markets Bull 3X shares. Now, this one may not look as pretty as the last chart, but in reality, they're the same thing, right? This symbol and symbol EEM, which we just looked at, highlights will be available on YouTube and Twitch. They're very similar. This is maybe less so an investment vehicle and more so something you can utilize to gain the most out of that potential 80% move that we were just talking about on EEM. As you can see, the ranges here are very similar with the RSI. It is currently oversold, touching that green line at the bottom of the RSI. This is typically a bullish symbol. This is when you want to be buying, as compared to it being overbought, which if you look here, May 2021, the RSI was overbought, touching that red top end of the RSI. That's typically a sell signal. You don't want to be in there. And it proceeded to get rejected and turn around. In 2020, the RSI was oversold, touching that 30 at the bottom. It's typically a bullish symbol. What happened after this? It proceeded to grow 433% on this one symbol. Let's go here and look at February 2018. The RSI clearly overbought, touching the red 70 line, right? This is a sell signal. You want to be buying low and selling high. So if it's overbought, that's typically when you want to be getting out. And what happened here? Well, it peaked out and started to sell off, declining over 66%, right? 2016, oversold, touching that green RSI at the bottom. It's typically a bullish symbol. It's what you want to see. You want to be buying low, selling high. What happened after 2016 when this thing was showed as oversold by the RSI? It proceeded to run 482%. So as we were saying with symbol EEM earlier, you can basically lump all of that information into this video as well, right? Let's look at the holdings for EEM. We're just going to cover it again. EEM is an emerging market index. It contains companies that are from abroad in emerging markets, right? So for example, the number one holding assets, Taiwan Semiconductors, Tencent Holdings, Alibaba, Samsung. Samsung, for example, if you wanted exposure to Samsung, depending on your brokerage, this might be difficult for you to do because they might not have a derivative or a pink sheet available through your broker. But this symbol would allow you to gain exposure to it. There's also Reliance, JD.com, etc. Now, this chart, as you can see, does kind of show maybe some signs of decay. It's more so like perfectly horizontal, but that's besides the point. Why is that relative to the EEM, that this one's more flat and the EEM shows more growth over time? Because the EEM is an index and it is an investment vehicle. This, on the other hand, is a 3x leveraged derivative of the EEM. And in exchange for that 3x leverage, the company offering it, Direxion, will take a fee, which is what happens, which is why the charts are not exactly one-to-one. There's a little bit of decay because of that fee. Now, 3x leveraged ETFs are kind of for more advanced traders. There are some exceptions to that, ones that can be generally good holds over time, like maybe you want UPRO with the S&P. If you want to get 3x the return of the S&P, UPRO does show significant correlation to the underlying asset with little to no decay, and it does give you next to 3 times the performance of the S&P. Definitely one worth adding to your portfolio. And there are other ones that maybe don't show as much promise over long periods of time, but that doesn't mean that you can't swing trade these or at least hold them for a few months to see to maximize the returns you would get on an expected move in its underlying, such as EEM. So as we were saying, we are currently expecting EEM to move about 88%. Now, we said we were expecting the underlying EEM to move about 88%. Now, why is it that I don't really have price channels on this chart? Why isn't I have not like drawn these weird price channels? Although I guess I could here. It just doesn't really work like that. But it just doesn't really work like that. But let's pretend that I did do that. The reason I don't have that is because typically when you're using these 3x leverage ETFs, you really don't want to be doing as much technical analysis on the leveraged ETF, you don't really want to be doing that because the leverage ETF only moves according to its underlying, right? So when you're trading these leveraged ETFs, you want to be doing all of your technical analysis and information gathering on the underlying, plan the time and price you want to be entering at, and then placing your order for shares on the leveraged ETF. So for example, we'll quickly look back at EEM. We were looking at EEM just a minute ago. There will be a highlight of also available on my YouTube channel and Twitch, so make sure to look out for those. But as you can see, EEM oversold RSI. We explained how it correlates very, very well, and it respects its RSI very well. We are currently expecting that 73% gain. It has ran 80% laps over and over and over again. So we're doing our TA. We see the growth over time. If we're expecting this 80, or I'll say 73. If we're expecting the 73% move to the north side, right, we would want to be doing our technical analysis over here, timing our entries over here, timing the price point that it would be over here. But then instead of placing our trades on EEM, which I highly recommend you do, or buy both for that matter, buy both, because this one can be considered an actual long-term hold. EDC, on the other hand, again, allows you to scale into these opportunities. You can make every probable opportunity a profitable opportunity, but you can't make every profitable opportunity a probable opportunity. So now that we've recognized that, we come over here. How high can we expect this symbol to go over time? Well, from its current price, 73, go 70, 140, 210, right? So right up in this 210, and then there was like an extra 3%. So we'll say 220, right? So right up into here to that $81 price point, right? Right, we're right up in there. And what a coincidence. This line actually does kind of line up to it to a sense, but it's, again, you want to be doing your TA over on the underlying and then placing your trades over here if leveraging into this trade is something you want to do. So as you can see, I kind of have this projection laid out. Even though this symbol has hit $160, even though this symbol has once been at 300 before, right? Based on our current projections with the underlying, we are not expecting it to hit anywhere near 300 on a leveraged ETF, right? But we are expecting it to gain roughly 3x our projected return, and the projected return on the underlying was 70, so we can get maybe 210% return with this symbol. This line does kind of ironically line up to where that price point would be, but again, do your technical analysis on the underlying and then come over here and leverage into that trade if that's something you want to do. So we're going to move into our next symbol. I hope I explained that as clearly as I could. You know, it's a pretty complex strategy. It's really not for everyone, but again, make sure you're always looking at our time frames, because if you come up here right next to the symbol where we are looking at, you can see our time frames represented by the M. It is 1 month. That means every one of these candles represents 1 month of time. So as we were saying, leverage ETFs are not necessarily something you always want to be holding for long periods of time, but again, we do really big time frame stuff here, very macro stuff. Holding a symbol like this for maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to 12 months is not a problem. It's not a problem as long as your underlyings are moving the direction you wanted them to be moving. It's not a problem. Okay, I feel like we covered this symbol very in depth, and we are going to move on to our next one. Give me one moment here. Hello, my name is Ethan Wrenn. Make sure to check out my website, ethanwrenn.com. From there you can find links to all my various socials. We are currently live on YouTube and Twitch, so make sure you sub or follow if you'd like to be notified next time I go live. We try to stream often, and all the highlights that you see in today's live stream will be available on my YouTube and Twitch within 48 hours, a week tops. You know, it takes time to highlight all those. But okay, we're going to be moving into our next symbol.